Yeah.
Executive session. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Are they in the back?
Huh?
Good morning, everyone. Well, this is a great day for New York City. You know, I've said throughout these last months that I turn to a lot of people for advice on how to talk about public safety, and some great experts, including the gentleman to my right. But I also talk to a lot of everyday New Yorkers, and I also talk to a lot of beat cops. And those officers said to me, obviously off record, respectfully, they said to me, look, we want to do our job. We don't want to live by a quota. We don't want to do a stop we don't think is the right thing to do. We want to work with the community. We want to fight serious crime. We want to be able to do that as we've been trained to do. And that is the spirit with which we will proceed. The men and women of the NYPD are the reason why we have become the safest big city in America. The men and women of the NYPD, first and foremost, deserve the credit. So often working with community leaders, community residents, tenant patrols, block associations, that is the first story to recognize in terms of this 20 years of extraordinary progress. But to continue that progress, we need to bring back together police and community. We need to heal some of the wounds, reopen the communication and the partnership. And that's how we can walk forward to fight crime, to guard against terrorism, create harmony between police and community. And to achieve that, it takes leadership. It takes leadership at City Hall, and the people have spoken. And I look forward to stepping forward on January 1st to provide that leadership. But it also takes leadership at One Police Plaza. And with that, I will say it is a great day for New York City, because I am proud to announce that I am appointing Bill Bratton as the next police commissioner of the city of New York. Esto se trata de mantener a los neoyorquinos seguros mientras que protegemos sus derechos, y por eso he escogido a Bill Bratton como Comisario General de Policía. Your name's a little different in Spanish. I'm going to talk about what Bill has achieved. I think a lot of people in this room already know some of this, but I want to put it in my own words. But before I do, I want to say that it's been such a pleasure over the last couple of years to get to know Bill, to seek his wisdom and guidance, to get his insights. It's really so much of what's allowed me to understand the challenges ahead and how to approach them. But in recent days, I've also had the honor to get to know Ricky Kleeman, his wonderful wife. And she's sitting next to a young lady who I often turn to for advice as well, Elaine McCrae. And this is a powerful combination over here. That's all I want to say. The fact is that over an extraordinary career, Bill Bratton has proven that you can fight crime effectively and bring police and community together. Bill Bratton knows that when it comes to stop and frisk, it has to be used with respect, it has to be used properly. You know, one of the things that inspired me in my thinking was a quote from Bill from some years ago. I'll paraphrase it. He says, stop and frisk is like chemotherapy. Used in the right dose can save lives. Used in the wrong dose, too heavy a dose, it can create its own dangers and problems. It can backfire. And the idea here is to have real reform, to move to respond to the deep, deep concerns of communities all over the city. To only use stop and frisk when it's constitutionally warranted and constitutionally applied, and to show communities that we are respecting law-abiding citizens, regardless of color, regardless of age, regardless of gender, that we respect all law-abiding citizens. and our focus will be on the criminals. Bill Bratton's record affirms his belief in this philosophy. A national magazine, once named him, quote, America's top cop. And I say, Bill Bratton, we in New York City are honored to have you as our top cop, and welcome back.
You would bring that magazine cover up. I cannot even begin to thank Mayor like de Blasio for the opportunity that he and his administration are providing to me to once again return to this profession that I love so much and that I've been associated with now for almost 46 years. I'm pleased to return to an administration also that is focused so much on what I believe I have attempted to do during those 46 years, to bring police and community together, to ensure that police are not the flashpoint for disruption, disturbances, and anger, but rather the cutting edge for making the city safe and the community trust its police force. So, sir, I thank you, and I promise to you that as the next police commissioner of the city of New York, the goals will be quite simple: to maintain the low crime rates that New Yorkers have come to expect and have a right to expect, to ensure that the city does everything in its power and in a collaborative relationship with all the various other agencies that are responsible for the issue of terrorism, that working together with the federal agencies, state agencies, and other regional agencies, that we will continue to ensure that this city remains safe against acts of terrorism. And thirdly, and the third goal, and I keep things in threes because my public wife Ricky, former criminal defense attorney, legal analyst, always indicates keep them simple, keep them in threes. The third goal is to do everything in my power to fulfill his dream, this mayor's dream, of bringing the New York City Police Department with its 50,000 members and the 8.5 million New Yorkers who live in the city, and the 3 million people coming here every day to use it, to bring them together in a collaboration where there is mutual respect and there is mutual trust. Before I begin my actual remarks, I also need to make a second thank you. That's my lovely wife, Vicky. We are giving up an awful lot to respond to this challenge, and it could not have happened without her full support, her love, and her respect for my passion for this profession. So, in addition to the opportunity the mayor-elect is providing, Vicky is also providing it. And so, my love, I thank you for this. And a couple other thank yous. There's a few familiar faces in the room. 20 years ago, almost to the day, I stood at another podium at another time, being introduced as the next police commissioner of the city of New York. And some of the people who were there with me at that time are here once again. Jimmy Motto, detective first grade, now retired, who was assigned as my first driver, security. Former Lieutenant Greg Longworth, who headed up my security detail, continued to do so during my previous time. The two of them are some of my closest friends, Vicky and I. In the back of the room, Kathy Perez, former sergeant, working in the commissioner's office during my time, been extraordinarily helpful in this process. John Miller, known to you, in the many hats that he has worn with me. John's been on the long march with me from New York to Los Angeles and back again. And I want to thank them for basically once again being here to show support for me. I have been associated with policing for 46 years. I love it. In a democracy, and we are so fortunate to live in the greatest democracy the world has ever seen, the first obligation of that democracy, actually the first promise, is public safety. There is no more important promise that we make. And the entity that is charged with some of the most significant responsibility for delivering on that promise, apart from the elected political leadership, that is the foundation of our government, Without public safety, all the other promises of our great democracy suffer. They are on a shaky platform. Education, free speech, free press, everything that this country and our democracy stands for. So it is one of the reasons that it has drawn me with such passion into its ranks. Because every day, when I go to work, if I get it right, and I will get it right in this city once again, my promise and my commitment to the men and women that I'll be so pleased and proud to lead. It's the 8.5 million fellow New Yorkers. And my promise and commitment to this man, which he's laying a lot in the line with disappointment, and I understand that. And I so appreciate the trust that he's placing in me to deliver on the promise of safe streets, safe subways, a lot of emphasis on subways, as you know, I like them. I like riding them. And 5.5 million New Yorkers every day like them, and they like to have a safe and clean and secure ride, and we will commit to that. And on traffic, it is ironic, even as the death tolls have declined dramatically with violent crime in the city, this year the number of people killed on our streets, pedestrians and traffic, will almost equal the homicide total, the murder total. So there needs to be a continuing and expanding commitment. The mayor has clearly indicated that that will be a priority going forward. And we will commit to delivering on those priorities. But we will do it in a way that ensures that the three things that cops have to do: police constitutionally cannot break the law or enforce the law, respectfully, you get what you give, and the public has the right, every member of the public, to be treated respectfully, and if treated so, then the police themselves will receive that in return. But lastly, the idea that it must be done fairly, respectfully. It must be done compassionately. It must be done consistently. We have a situation in the city at this time which is so unfortunate, and I have my most recent experience in Los Angeles to match it up against, that at a time that police and community should be so much closer together, that there should be a bond of legitimacy and trust between them. That is not the case in so many communities in the city. That is unfortunate. But it can be corrected. I've had the great fortune of being involved in an effort in Los Angeles that was successful in bringing a police force that was literally at war with its African American community for 50 years. To a position in time now where there has been incredible improvement in those relationships. Trust, information sharing, collaboration. That can happen and will happen here in New York City. That is my commitment to this mayor, to this city, to the men and women and children who live in this city, and to the men and women of the New York City Police Department. I love this profession. I love this city. I love this department. I have had a love affair with it since 1956. I may say 1956. I was 9 years old, a kid in Boston. What the hell is a kid in Boston? Mayor and I share Red Sox feet, but what is a kid in Boston looking to New York for? Well, his influence at an early age, they wanted to be a cop. Lived down the street from the Boston police station. But I also visited the library that was beside that police station several times a week. One day I walked in, and here it was, York Police, a children's book. I check this thing out so often that I don't think anybody else in Boston ever saw it. It is a book about the New York City Police Department of 1956. And I love the title, York Police. In this city, I want every New Yorker to talk about their police, my police, with respect and with confidence that they are going to be respected in return. I've taken this book everywhere I've ever gone, every department. It's always proudly displayed because it has such profound influence on me. And I'd like to read, in closing my comments before opening up to your questions, a last paragraph in this book, and then a quote from another document that I carry with me all the time, my policeman's Bible, if you will. In the last page of this book, it reads, "We must always remember that whenever you see a policeman, he is your friend. He is there to protect you. He has dedicated his life to the preservation of the laws, the property, and the civil rights of the people and the community he serves. He would not hesitate to save your life at the cost of his own." That's what policing means to me. That's what I want it to mean to every one of the 34,000 plus New York City police officers and the 16,000 others who work in that agency. And that is our commitment to citizens of New York, to give that type of policing. And lastly, another quote. I'm privileged to be part of a long line of police leaders, beginning with Sir Robert Peel, the creator of the Metropolitan Police in London back in the 1800s. And he had 9 principles of policing. I carry these with me everywhere, my Bible. Because he got it so right, so long ago. And it's what policing needs to be all about. This one's got all my hand scribbles on it because I take it everywhere. The first of those principles is the basic mission for which the police exist is to prevent crime and disorder. To prevent crime and disorder. The prevention of crime should be accomplished without intruding unnecessarily into the lives of citizens. In this city, there are many hundreds of thousands, if not millions, who feel that even as this police force has been working so hard and so successfully to reduce crime and fear and disorder, that there has been unnecessary intrusion into their lives, thus denying them what should be the benefit of a safer city, the freedom to go about their business without fear of interference if they're doing nothing wrong. As Police Commissioner of the City of New York, I will work very hard and will move very quickly to bring once again legitimacy and trust between the citizens of the city who feel that they don't have it, between them and this police department. And to the men and women of this department who once again I am so pleased and honored and sir, thank you for the opportunity to kind of begin to express what it means to rejoin them again. That my commitment is to tell their story to the best of my ability, but to help them shape that story so it is one of pride and commitment and respect and trust. There's no reason that it can't be, and we will work very hard to ensure that it will be.
Just want to make one last comment before we open up to questions. You know, history is very interesting the way it evolves. I'm just really glad that some other kid didn't take out that book. I grew up, as you know, in the Boston area, so I can say this appropriately. If Jimmy O'Neill had taken out this book instead of Bill Bratton, and it never got to Bill Bratton, we might not have the opportunity right now to be standing here with the next police commissioner of New York City. So I want to thank this book and Bill Bratton and the Boston Public Library. Yes, let's show it over here too. There you go.
He didn't show it.
Can you show it on this side? You got this book's going to be a sensation. It's going to be the whole story. You bought them all. Bill de Blasio named a library book today. Really, I'm going to send a thank you note to the Boston Public Library for their fine selection. But it is a great, great day for New York City. I could not be more enthusiastic. This is one of the choices a mayor gets to make that is most pivotal for the people of our city. It's a sacred choice. This is one you make with all your heart, with all your mind. You listen to the people and you think very, very carefully before making this choice. And I have absolute confidence, 100% confidence, that Bill Bratton's the right man for the job, that he's going to keep us safe, and he's going to bring police and community back together. We're not going to proceed with a quota system. You know, we're only going to use it when it is constitutionally appropriate. So that's what I'd say. I think the results, the twin accomplishment in Los Angeles over 7 years of driving down crime while improving police and community relations and giving the community a thoroughgoing understanding of what the police were trying to achieve and why it was in the community's interest, right down to the grassroots. And I have to tell you, Commissioner, I've heard really powerful explanations from folks you work with of how this was such an effective approach, so well communicated that right down to the street corners, people understood what the new LAPD was, and why it was there to work hand in hand with community. I think this is the right man to reform stop and frisk in this city. I interviewed 3 people: Commissioner Bratton, Chief Bill Banks, and First Deputy Commissioner Rafael Pinero. 3 extraordinary policing professionals. 3 people have done amazing things for the people of New York City. So it is a very nice starting point when you have extraordinarily proven leaders, great track records. I was impressed deeply by all 3. I think the particular achievements of Commissioner Bratton and the particular philosophical affinity just jumped off the page to me. And so, you know, I did my interviews. I talked to experts in the city and around the country. I talked to people who had real perspective on policing in this town, and obviously in Commissioner Bratton's case, folks who had worked very closely with him in LA. And the choice became clearer and clearer to me. But I do want to say that Chief Banks and Deputy Commissioner Pinero are extraordinary leaders. And on that level, of course, it was a tough choice because it was great to look at strong talent and get to choose among good, strong options. And, you know, I think the decision, as with all of our decisions, was finalized only in the last few days, as I've said. Part of why you have to so patiently wait, and you've been very patient, is the process of really getting to the full truth and doing the full vetting and really making sure it's the right choice. You know, you have to know when it's fully cooked, and that's when we make the announcement.